Hello everyone. I'm Six Path Weeb, and today we're diving into a really intriguing what-if scenario from the Naruto universe. Topic: What if Naruko chose solitude? Before we jump in, a quick disclaimer: all content on this channel is purely for entertainment and discussion. I don't own any of the anime footage used, full credit goes to the original creators and copyright holders. So, buckle up, and let's explore a path less traveled in the ninja world. Let's start, guys. After the chaos at the unfinished bridge, which included Haku and Zabuza lying motionless side by side, Kakashi and Team 7 decided to return to Inari and Tsunami's house. The air was quiet, filled with reflective thoughts from the team about the day's events. Sasuke was contemplating how to become stronger, determined not to be overwhelmed by enemies again. Haku had proven to be a formidable opponent, even against Sasuke's Sharingan, a realization that weighed heavily on him. In another room, Sakura replayed the day's events, struggling with feelings of inadequacy. But as she reflected further, she realized she was not alone in her missteps during the fight. Outside, Naruko was quietly meditating, a practice she had never approached with such seriousness before. Her goal was to reach out to the Kyuubi, attempting to communicate with the powerful entity sealed within her. Suddenly, a soft sound signaled someone leaving the house. Naruko opened her eyes slightly and saw pink hair approaching. Initially, she thought Sakura might simply walk past on her way into town or toward the bridge, but soon realized Sakura had stopped directly in front of her, gazing down intently. "Hello, Sakura," Naruko began cautiously. "You seem upset about something." Sakura paused for a long moment, the tension between them palpable, before speaking with a measured tone. "Naruko," Sakura said, "why didn't you support Sasuke during your fight with Haku?" Her voice reflected a controlled frustration as she revisited the sequence of events.
I was helping," Naruko replied, trying to reason with her.
"When Haku's ice chamber broke, my chakra was surrounding me. I thought I was contributing." Sakura's expression remained firm. "Naruko, you've always been spirited, but sometimes that energy distracts from focus. You need to learn to channel it better. Today, you missed opportunities to assist when it was needed most. I want you to improve and take our training seriously. You're a valued teammate, but you need to grow stronger." Naruko felt a mix of surprise and determination rise within her. Sakura's words were sharp, but they carried purpose, an opportunity to reflect and grow rather than a dismissal. After Sakura returned to the house, Naruko sat quietly, processing the confrontation. Her mind began to drift toward the Kyuubi, the powerful entity sealed within her since birth. The Kyuubi had been part of her life from the beginning, a reminder of the burden and the potential she carried. A voice echoed softly in her mind. "Are you going to sit there, or are you ready to speak with me?" Naruko's eyes widened as recognition struck. It was the Kyuubi. She refocused, slipping back into a meditative state, ready to engage. "Kyuubi," she began, "you've decided to speak with me. I've been trying to reach you for some time." The Kyuubi's expression suggested amusement. "I wait for the right moment, Naruko. Your emotions guide my presence. When you are frustrated or determined, my chakra can connect with yours. Your training and growth will strengthen both of us. I can guide you, but you must focus on your path." Naruko listened intently as the Kyuubi continued. "Sasuke shows potential, but he carries intense emotions that can lead him astray. Your journey may benefit from some independence. I will lend you abilities that sharpen your perception, your senses of chakra and environment, to help you navigate challenges more effectively." "Thank you, Kyuubi. I will consider your advice and continue training diligently," Naruko said, her resolve strengthening. She opened her eyes and returned fully to her surroundings, determination burning in her heart. Sakura's words, though difficult, now served as fuel for her growth, and Naruko knew her journey as a ninja had only just begun. "Remember," the Kyuubi said softly, "we can communicate this way, but keep it quiet around others. Your life must appear normal to those your age. Focus on your path, and you will rise." Naruko sat upright, her mind clear and focused, ready to embrace the challenges ahead with renewed energy. Naruko absorbed the comment quietly for a moment before rising and heading back into the house. She opened the door gently, taking care not to make a sound. She waved briefly to Tsunami before setting off to find a particular someone. She moved swiftly through the house, finally spotting the person she had been searching for, who was talking to Inari. Inari's expression shifted to one of surprise as he began to speak. "Really? That happened? She actually did that?" Inari asked, clearly astonished as he tried to imagine the scene in his mind. Naruko smiled warmly at the sight of Inari's excitement. She reflected on her own experiences, contrasting them with his. When she first met Inari, he had been coping with the loss of an important figure in his life. For Naruko, the feeling was unfamiliar. She had grown up without a father and still did not know who he was. Yet, she understood the pain of being overlooked and underestimated, of facing challenges alone and finding her own strength. She remembered moments of struggle, like when she had been pushed into a pond she could not swim in and had to rely on her wits and determination to get out. Lost in thought, Naruko did not notice Inari turning toward her and gesturing for her to sit. "Ah, Kakashi-sensei and Inari, it's wonderful to see you both enjoying each other's company," Naruko said, giving them both a genuine smile. "Inari, I heard Tsunami asked you for a favor. She said it should only take about 5 minutes." Inari grumbled a little about helping his mother, while Kakashi continued telling engaging stories that had him completely captivated. "When you return, Inari," Naruko added, "I'll still be here, and Kakashi-sensei can continue with his stories." Inari hurried off, taking care to be quick so as not to miss any of Kakashi's tale. Turning to Kakashi, Naruko's expression became serious. "Kakashi-sensei, there's something I need to discuss with you," she said, looking directly at his visible eye. Kakashi noticed the change in her demeanor and leaned forward with concern. "What is it, Naruko? Does it have to do with what happened today?" he asked gently. "Not exactly. It's related, but not in the way you might think," Naruko replied. Kakashi raised his eyebrow in curiosity. "Earlier today, Sakura told me that she thought I was not contributing much during our mission," Naruko explained. Kakashi's eyes widened slightly in surprise. "Really? But actually, if I recall correctly, she was the one who struggled the most today. She froze when challenged, much like you did during that incident with the 2 Chunin. Don't let her words bring you down." Naruko chuckled at the memory, a mix of embarrassment and determination stirring within her. She resolved to improve her skills so that such moments would never repeat, regardless of the difficulty of her future challenges. "Kakashi-sensei," Naruko continued, her tone quiet but firm, "she said that she and Sasuke didn't want me on the squad anymore, and that you were the only reason I stayed. She made me feel like I would always be underestimated because I didn't take things seriously or always finish first among the other ninjas." Kakashi nodded thoughtfully. "I see. But we both know the truth, you contributed strategically and effectively during the mission. I think taking some time to train independently could be very beneficial for you." Naruko's eyes widened in surprise. "I was thinking the same thing. I feel that training alone will help me grow stronger and become the kind of ninja I want to be." Kakashi nodded approvingly. "Then take that time. Work on your shadow clones, your chakra control, and your taijutsu. Learn about different jutsu and challenge yourself physically. Climbing trees, practicing without using your hands, these will all improve your balance and strength. But remember to pace yourself." Naruko listened intently, absorbing every word. Kakashi observed her keen focus and thought to himself how much she had grown. "I'll speak with the Hokage about giving you time to train," Kakashi said. "I believe it's the best approach. You'll develop faster, and the team can work on other missions meanwhile." Naruko bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Kakashi-sensei. I feel like I can trust you more with each mission. I'll make sure to use this opportunity wisely." Kakashi chuckled softly at her determination. "Now get some rest before you fall asleep on your way to your room." Naruko laughed and headed to her room, while Inari returned to Kakashi, asking about his mysterious eye and the mask he wore. Kakashi sighed, thinking about his interrupted evening plans. The next morning, as Team Kakashi walked across the Great Naruto Bridge, Naruko turned to admire the structure and its sign. "If the bridge is anything like the ninja, I'd say it will last a long time," she mused. "Just like my journey. I want to grow stronger, train hard, and contribute to the village. This bridge is a reminder of the kind of support and protection I hope to provide one day." Her mind wandered to her dreams of becoming Hokage, of protecting her village and the people she cared for. She understood that it would require patience, skill, and perseverance, but she was ready. Shadow clones would help her accelerate her training, and one day, she would reach the level of mastery she envisioned. The journey from the Land of Waves back to Konoha was marked by a quiet, thoughtful atmosphere among the members of Team 7. Both Naruko and Sasuke seemed deeply absorbed in their own thoughts throughout the trip. If Kakashi hadn't known better, he might have assumed they were simply on autopilot. However, he understood that both Sasuke and Naruko were focusing on the skills they had refined while facing Haku, remaining alert in case any challenges arose. Sakura, meanwhile, was trying to capture Sasuke's attention and snap him out of his intense focus. Unbeknownst to her, Sasuke was aware of her efforts but was too concentrated on improving his abilities to engage. He was determined to enhance his Sharingan, a powerful talent inherited from the Uchiha clan, and had already observed its potential in action with Kakashi. Recognizing this, Kakashi decided to intervene. "Sakura, why don't you move up to the front, near me, just in case we encounter anything along the way?" Sakura nodded and quickly moved ahead, leaving Naruko and Sasuke to bring up the rear. Kakashi knew they could manage any situation that might arise from the back. After another day of travel, Team 7 arrived back at Konoha. Naruko and Sasuke were still immersed in thought. For Kakashi, the journey had been somewhat uneventful. Once Sakura realized that Sasuke was unlikely to engage in conversation anytime soon, she attempted to talk with Kakashi instead. Although he would have preferred finishing the last chapters of Icha Icha, he managed to get through one while keeping an eye on both the surroundings and Sakura. In all honesty, Kakashi found Sakura's preoccupation with Sasuke both amusing and persistent. He could already see that her feelings were unlikely to be returned by Sasuke, just as Naruto's previous feelings for her had not been returned, a kind of poetic balance, in Kakashi's view. Upon reaching the gates, Kakashi greeted the guards and led Team 7 inside. "You may return to your homes for now. If I require your assistance, I will come to find you. I need to report to the Hokage about this mission, so please remain reachable," he said, glancing knowingly at Naruko. Kakashi then disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving the three young ninjas at the gate. Naruko immediately began heading toward her apartment, while Sasuke started to move but was stopped by Sakura. "Hey, Sasuke," she called, approaching him quickly. Sasuke glanced at her but kept his pace steady. "Do you want to do something later today?" Sasuke smiled inwardly. Despite his lack of interest, Sakura never gave up on him. "No, Sakura. I have too much on my mind today. I need some time to think," he replied, continuing toward his home. Sakura remained standing at the gate, a mix of determination and contemplation on her face. At the Hokage's office. "Report," Sarutobi said from behind his desk. "Hokage-sama, the mission to the Land of Waves was a success," Kakashi replied. "That is excellent. Now, report on how the team performed and their progress with their skills," the Hokage requested. Kakashi continued, "The mission involving Tazuna, the bridge builder, should have been considered an A-ranked mission due to the unexpected opposition. I had to face Momoiki twice during the mission. Naruko and Sasuke displayed strong teamwork, particularly during the second encounter, where they managed to overcome Haku's abilities, which included sophisticated water techniques. Naruko's chakra control was noticeable during the fight, and Sasuke has now activated his Sharingan, which will serve as a significant advantage in future missions." Sarutobi nodded thoughtfully. "I see. So Naruko's abilities are progressing well, but she will need to refine her control over the fox's chakra?" "Yes. Naruko is showing great potential and determination. I have advised her to spend some time training independently, while I continue to supervise Sakura and Sasuke. This will allow her to develop her skills more efficiently, while also maintaining the team's cohesion." "Excellent. What specific training will she focus on?" the Hokage inquired. "She will begin with an early element test. Based on her current abilities, she is likely to test positive for wind and possibly earth or water. While she will not naturally test positive for fire, her connection with the fox allows her to access fire techniques indirectly," Kakashi explained. "Very well. I approve this plan. I look forward to seeing Naruko's growth," Sarutobi said with a gentle smile. Kakashi bowed and then left the office in a flash, ready to guide Naruko on her path to improvement. Sarutobi leaned back in his chair, reflecting on the continual challenges of guiding young ninjas and marveling at the perseverance of Team 7. Naruko's apartment. Kakashi appeared outside Naruko's apartment door. He lingered for a few moments before gently knocking. After a brief pause, Naruko opened the door and greeted her sensei with a bright, enthusiastic smile. "Kakashi-sensei. I can tell the Hokage wishes to see me," Naruko said eagerly. "Yes, Naruko," Kakashi confirmed. "You are correct. I have been assigned to accompany you to the Hokage Tower and be present for your meeting." Naruko tilted her head in curiosity. "Why do you need to come along, Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi let out a soft chuckle. Perhaps Naruko had forgotten their earlier conversation or was simply unaware of the responsibility that came with her growth. "This is partly about you training independently, Naruko," Kakashi explained. "But it also concerns me. I am still your team leader and the Jonin responsible for your development." Naruko nodded in understanding, and together they began their walk toward the Hokage Tower. Kakashi typically took a leisurely pace to enjoy the scenery of Konoha, but today he moved steadily, knowing Naruko could not match his speed. "Hey, Kakashi-sensei," Naruko called, attempting to catch his attention. "What is it, Naruko?" Kakashi replied, curiosity piqued. "Do you think the Hokage will approve my request to train independently?" Naruko asked, hands resting behind her neck in her characteristic posture. Kakashi responded thoughtfully, "It's difficult to say. It could go either way." As they walked, Naruko reflected quietly. Staying with her teammates Sasuke and Sakura meant she needed to manage her emotions and master the fox's chakra within her. She could not allow impulsive bursts of energy to interfere with her training or the safety of her friends. "It wouldn't be wise to underestimate Sasuke," Kakashi commented, noticing her contemplative silence. "His abilities are formidable, especially his Sharingan." Naruko blinked, startled by his voice, and Kakashi smiled, recognizing her drift into deep thought. "We're here," Kakashi reminded her as they arrived at the Hokage Tower. Once inside, the familiar path to the office felt routine, yet Naruko remained thoughtful, absorbing every detail of the village she was determined to protect. Kakashi, on the other hand, found himself pondering the upcoming release of a new book in his collection, already anticipating a brief respite from his duties. Finally, they reached the Hokage's office. Sensing their presence, Sarutobi called, "Come in." Naruko stepped forward with renewed focus. "Hello, old man," she greeted cheerfully. Sarutobi sighed softly, noting that while Naruko had matured, some aspects of her spirited nature remained unchanged. "Kakashi has informed me that you have grown, Naruko, and that you are now approaching the life of a shinobi with seriousness," Sarutobi remarked. Naruko nodded, aware that this marked the beginning of a transformation. She was no longer the mischievous child she had once been, she was a capable ninja, a host to the powerful fox within her, ready to harness her abilities responsibly. "Kakashi recommended that you train independently for a while, and I concur," the Hokage continued. "This will allow your teammates, Sasuke and Sakura, to strengthen their teamwork. You, in turn, will benefit from focused practice." Naruko tensed slightly at the mention of her teammates, but Kakashi quickly intervened. "Listen, Naruko," Kakashi explained. "You and Sasuke have developed strong teamwork because of your rivalry, which has helped you both grow. Observing your collaboration during missions, it's clear that taking time to train independently will benefit everyone in the long run, even if Sasuke continues to overlook Sakura." The Hokage considered the implications of this decision for the village council, but ultimately, he prioritized Naruko's growth and potential. "Therefore, Naruko," Sarutobi concluded, "I approve your independent training. Kakashi will provide the necessary guidance and monitor your progress daily, ensuring that your training remains productive and balanced." Naruko felt a surge of determination. This was her opportunity to become the shinobi she aspired to be, and she was ready to embrace it fully. Naruko smiled, though a small bead of sweat appeared on her forehead. "Kakashi-sensei will never catch me at Ichiraku's. This isn't fair, I need my daily ramen fix. I guess I'll have to get even quicker moving around. I don't need to overthink it. If Kakashi-sensei catches me, I won't get my ramen today. That will definitely make me speed up." Naruko. "Kakashi, you are both dismissed. Kakashi will escort you back to your apartment and outline the tasks you must complete during your training period. If you fail to complete them, there will be consequences, and you won't enjoy that," Sarutobi said firmly. Kakashi stepped forward and stood beside Naruko as Sarutobi finished. He spoke quietly to her before vanishing in a small puff of smoke. "I need to get home in 3 minutes, or the training could be delayed. That's nearly impossible, considering how long it took me to get here. I have to move." Naruko passed Sarutobi's desk and approached the window. "Goodbye, sir. Maybe tidy up this paperwork before it overwhelms you." With that, she leapt out and swiftly made her way toward her apartment. "Some things never change about her," Sarutobi muttered with a faint smile. At her apartment, Kakashi was waiting. He had been serious about the 3-minute return time, but he anticipated Naruko would manage it. Just as he expected, Naruko arrived at the door, panting slightly but smiling proudly. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. "Well done," Kakashi remarked. Naruko nodded, still smiling, hands resting behind her head. Kakashi allowed himself a small smile at her relaxed demeanor. "Do you understand why I made you do that exercise, Naruko?" Naruko shook her head, still catching her breath. "I did it because, in emergencies, people often push themselves far beyond their expectations. It's like an internal alarm, unlocking potential you wouldn't normally access. I knew you would make the time, which shows how much this training means to you. Now that I see it does, we can proceed. I understand, Kakashi-sensei, Naruko said, still panting lightly. Next, we'll return to your training ground. I'll accompany you and have a small exercise for you to complete. At Training Ground 7, Kakashi led Naruko to the monument honoring past Konoha ninjas. He glanced at it briefly before turning to her. Naruko, I brought you here to assess your elemental affinities. Naruko nodded as Kakashi explained. He handed her a small sheet of elemental paper. You will channel chakra into this paper. It will react to the element you are naturally attuned to, which helps you perform jutsus more effectively. Watch as I demonstrate first. Kakashi channeled chakra, and the paper floated, crumpling briefly. This shows my affinity for lightning. Controlling attacks of this type is easier for me. Mastery takes years, though. Now try it yourself. Naruko focused her chakra into the paper. After a brief float, the sheet split in two and became slightly damp. She stared in amazement. Naruko, you have affinities for both water and wind elements. This will allow you to perform and control jutsus with relative ease. Understanding the elemental chart is your next step. Naruko nodded. Where can I see the chart, Kakashi-sensei? I have access to scrolls at the Konoha library. I'll bring you the charts for study so you can understand your strengths and limitations. Kakashi paused, considering sharing more, but remembered restrictions. I cannot mention the QB. Sharing that would have serious consequences. Naruko, I need to leave for the library to gather your training materials. I will return after Sasuke and Sakura finish their training. Until then, focus on this training ground exclusively. Naruko looked at the expansive area. Open spaces, narrow passageways, hidden spots, it reminded her of Kakashi's bell test. She chuckled softly. What was I thinking back then? Standing out so recklessly. I've learned a lot since. Time for some rest before training begins in earnest. Maybe a quick stop at Ichiraku's on the way back. Walking through Konoha, Naruko noticed people keeping their distance, sensing her focused and determined demeanor. Along the way, she spotted a suspiciously camouflaged box. Curious, she played along as it followed her. Worst disguise ever, she muttered. Suddenly, the box burst open, revealing a small boy with a green scarf, Konohamaru. Konohamaru, how many times must I say it? No one falls for the box trick. He kicked a small pebble and grinned. It's always fun to see your reaction. Naruko smirked. I'm heading to Ichiraku's, then home for some rest before training tomorrow. At Ichiraku's, both ordered their favorite ramen. Konohamaru teased about Ayame's excitement at seeing Naruko, but she explained she was simply the restaurant's top customer. They ate, chatted, and then parted ways. Konohamaru may be mischievous like me, but he's amusing. Those little tricks will never work until he masters them. Suddenly, Naruko's thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice. Hey, Naruko. Anyone home? I heard about your last mission. Did you do anything at all? Ino Yamanaka appeared, trying to uncover rumors. When she attempted her mind-body switch technique, it rebounded unexpectedly. What? How is this possible? Ino exclaimed. Naruko passed by quietly, whispering softly, please don't try that again. It won't work on me. She moved swiftly toward home, noticing how much stronger and faster she had become since Kakashi's first test. All I wanted was some information. Sheesh, I've improved quite a lot, Naruko thought, smiling. Time skip, the next morning. Naruko had already woken up and enjoyed her breakfast, which included some older supplies but also a fresh carton of milk she had bought recently. Soon after, she made her way to the training grounds where she and Kakashi had met the previous day. Naruko arrived right on time, but to her surprise, Kakashi was already waiting. Wow! Kakashi-sensei, I didn't know you could be early. I guess there's a first time for everything, Naruko said, smiling. Kakashi returned the smile and handed her a few scrolls. I've brought these scrolls, which contain Suten and Futon release techniques. I don't expect you to master all of them by the end of today, but I do expect you to have at least 4 ready by the time we spar in 10 days. Naruko's eyes widened. Wait, Kakashi-sensei, did you say we're going to spar in 10 days? Yes, Naruko, Kakashi replied. I'll spar with you in 10 days to see how much you've progressed. The Hokage told me yesterday that he was impressed with your development, especially considering you've demonstrated proficiency in 2 different elemental affinities. The Hokage was impressed with me? Naruko asked, astonished. Yes, he's very proud of how much you've grown in such a short time. Well, I have to go now. I'm late for Team 7's practice again, and we still need to catch that mischievous cat. There's nothing like a fun D-ranked mission. Kakashi quickly dropped off 12 scrolls for Naruko, waved briefly, and vanished in a puff of smoke. Dash. At the bridge. Kakashi landed gracefully on top of the bridge, where Sakura and Sasuke were waiting below. He raised a hand in greeting and spoke from above. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Why are you always late? What's your excuse this time? Sakura called out, exasperated. A young student needed my help, and I thought it was important to assist her, Kakashi replied calmly. So this student is more important than Team 7? Sakura asked, frowning. Actually, she is very important, Kakashi said, his smile faintly visible even beneath his mask. Kakashi was with Sasuke and Sakura as she explained the mission to retrieve the missing cat once again. Sasuke appeared somewhat indifferent to the task, while Sakura began noting that their teamwork could still improve and that they needed to grow stronger together. Despite their differing attitudes, both agreed to participate, and the mission was completed successfully. Yet, throughout the assignment, Kakashi couldn't help but wonder about how Naruko was doing. I hope she's doing all right. She should be able to handle some of the practice on her own. By the time I returned to her location, she should have completed the basic scrolls about chakra flow and human anatomy. After completing the mission, Kakashi returned to Team 7's location to retrieve the cat and bring it back to the Hokage's headquarters. She dismissed Sakura and Sasuke, mentioning that the day was over and she had other matters to attend to. I suppose I have my preferences. Sasuke reminds me of myself in some ways, but Naruko seems like a blend of both me and Obito, which may explain why I feel such admiration for her. Sakura reminds me of Rin during her time as my teammate. I think I would prefer spending time with Obito alone rather than both of them together. Kakashi brought the cat to the Hokage's office and collected the reward for the D-ranked mission. As she gave a detailed account of how the mission was conducted, the other shinobi listened with interest, particularly noting Uchiha's growth. I know she is regarded highly by the village, but I must also acknowledge her progress. She trains diligently on her own and rivals herself against others, including Naruko, yet she continues to develop her skills and expand her abilities, Kakashi thought. After finishing the report, Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke, reappearing outside the Team 7 training grounds. There, she saw Naruko leaning against a tree, engrossed in one of the scrolls. Kakashi smiled quietly at how peaceful Naruko looked and approached her. Hi Kakashi-sensei, are you back from your mission? How did it go? Naruko asked, her curiosity evident. Kakashi smiled and considered why Naruko was asking about her old team. It went well. Sasuke handled most of the task and retrieved the cat. Their teamwork is improving, even if they don't realize it yet. Naruko smiled, thinking about Sasuke taking charge of the mission, and quietly chuckled at the thought. Naruko, there's something important I need to tell you, Kakashi said, catching Naruko's full attention. I believe the Chunin exams will be happening soon, likely after our sparring session in 10 days. Naruko's expression showed curiosity as she considered what the Chunin exams might entail. What exactly are the Chunin exams? She asked. The Chunin exams are a 3-part test where villages send their Junon to a designated location. This year, it's in Konoha. The Junon compete in 3 stages, though I'm not allowed to disclose the details. You must remain alert at all times. If you demonstrate skill, intelligence, and teamwork through all 3 stages, you will be promoted from Junon to Chunin. Naruko absorbed the information but still had a question. Kakashi-sensei, how strong do you think I am? Do you think I can pass the Chunin exams? Kakashi smiled, confident in Naruko's potential. Of all the current rookie Junon, I believe you are the strongest, especially after our training in 10 days. If you were to compete against all the rookie teams, I believe you would excel, even against Sasuke, who remains your closest competitor. Naruko smiled, feeling encouraged by her sensei's praise. Of course, this is based on what I've observed and heard from other Jonin. They may exaggerate, but I have no doubt in your abilities. One more thing, you must also be cautious of Junon from other villages, as some may possess impressive skills. Naruko considered Kakashi's warning carefully. Naruko, I've been meaning to ask you, why have you chosen this path? Kakashi asked. Naruko looked up, a little surprised. Kakashi-sensei, I realized that the journey to becoming Hokage is longer and more challenging than I imagined. I need to grow stronger to navigate the path successfully. But is that your only motivation? I mean, you once admired Sakura. Are you training to impress her or to surpass Sasuke? No, Kakashi-sensei. I no longer have feelings for Sakura. I've decided to focus on my own growth and understanding, rather than seeking approval from anyone else. At the same time, I've begun to understand Sasuke more. I can see where he's coming from and why he approaches people the way he does. Kakashi was quietly impressed. Naruko and Sasuke have a dynamic similar to mine with Obito, though in their own way. Both are strong and complementary. Naruko retains her youthful enthusiasm, while Sasuke demonstrates maturity beyond his years. They are alike in many ways, and Naruko finally understands this. That's good to hear. During the Chunin exams, you'll be part of Team 7 again. The exams are team-based, and the Hokage won't allow you to compete alone. That's fine, Naruko replied confidently. If I'm the strongest among the rookies Jinan and Sasuke is next, teamwork won't be an issue. We can focus on demonstrating our abilities through the stages. Kakashi noticed Naruko's confidence and determination. She already anticipates the final stage. Impressive. She has intelligence and foresight. Minato would be proud, but I should take pride in being her sensei as well. Alright, Naruko, that's enough discussion for now. Take a 1-hour break, then continue with another hour of training before finishing for the day. I have other matters to attend to, so I'll see you later. With that, Kakashi vanished in a puff of smoke. Naruko stood in awe at how effortlessly her sensei disappeared. Excited to make the most of her break, she thought, there are several training grounds nearby. I'll scout them and work on my stealth and speed skills. Maybe I can observe other Jinan practicing before the Chunin exams begin. With that, Naruko leapt from tree to tree, eager to explore the other training grounds. 45 minutes later. Naruko had been moving around the training grounds at what most shinobi would consider a jog. She noticed a few Konoha Chunin practicing together. They demonstrated some skill, but Naruko wasn't particularly impressed. I wonder, after this training with Kakashi is over, will I be able to match Chunin like them? She pondered as she made her way to the last training area on her list, Training Ground 44, the Forest of Challenge. Naruko arrived and gazed at the tall fence surrounding the area, marked with numerous warning signs. She had read about the forest and the mysterious creatures that dwelled within it. This is incredible. Maybe I can convince Sensei to join me for a training session here before the Chunin exams begin, she thought aloud. What did you say about entering the Forest of Challenge, little one? Naruko spun around, startled, to see the source of the voice. A woman stood there, wearing a long tan trench coat over a brown miniskirt and a fishnet top. Her purple hair was tied back in a neat ponytail. Who are you? Naruko asked cautiously. At the same time, she felt a strange, imaginary voice in her head. Ugh, I can't stand the smell of snakes. It makes me feel uneasy, the voice grumbled. Why? Naruko asked, confused. One of the few people I least enjoy being around smells like snakes, the voice replied. I thought I was among them, Naruko murmured quietly. You're actually third on my list. Happy now? Snap out of your daydream and focus. Naruko blinked and realized the woman had suddenly moved behind her. She felt a minor scratch on her cheek from a training mishap. The woman, sensing Naruko's concern, laughed lightly. Careful, little one. That's quite the mark. But don't worry, it's harmless. Naruko quickly recovered and readied herself, though the woman only chuckled. Listen, little one, you are still growing as a shinobi. I can tell you are a Jinan while I am a Jonin. It's all part of your journey to learn and improve. Naruko relaxed and lowered her guard, curiosity replacing her initial worry. So, what's your name? The woman asked. My name is Naruko Uzumaki. And may I ask, why did you approach me like that earlier? I am Anko Mitarashi, the woman said with a small smile. The earlier scare was just my habit of testing others. I also have a question for you. Why are you outside the Forest of Challenge on your own? Why not with your team? Naruko looked down, hesitant. I am technically with Team 7, but I don't feel completely connected to them yet. For now, I am training alone, she admitted. Anko's expression softened, and a wave of understanding passed through her. I understand how that feels, she said gently. Naruko looked up, meeting Anko's gaze. It was rare for her to feel understood by someone outside her usual circle. This simple act of empathy warmed her heart, something she hadn't experienced often. Do you really think my struggles will ease soon? Naruko asked, hopeful. Yes, Anko replied. How about next week, I give you a guided tour of the Forest of Challenge. Really? You do that for me? Naruko's eyes lit up. Of course. But only if you are prepared to face the challenges within, Anko added with a smile. Don't worry, I'll be ready, Naruko said confidently, a renewed energy filling her. Good. And now, don't you need to be somewhere? Realizing she had lingered too long, Naruko's expression became serious. I should hurry back to the training grounds, Kakashi-sensei is probably waiting, she thought, and with a wave, she dashed off. Take care with your training. Anko called after her. Naruko sped through the forest, determined to return on time. A few minutes later, she arrived at the training grounds, just as Kakashi appeared. So, you were out? Not at Ichiraku's, I assume? Kakashi asked, trying to maintain a stern face. Actually, no, Naruko replied, smiling. Kakashi raised an eyebrow, she was proving to be quite unpredictable. Naruko, I want to teach you a jutsu that isn't in your scrolls, Kakashi said. Naruko's eyes sparkled with curiosity. I'm sure you'll recognize it once I use it, he explained, demonstrating with swift hand signs. Suten, Kirigakura no Jutsu. A thick mist enveloped them, making it difficult to see. Naruko felt a tap on her shoulder. Kakashi had already moved close, showcasing the technique's power. That's the effectiveness of this technique. You can combine it with shadow clones and your taijutsu. It's simple but effective. Just remember, use it wisely, Kakashi advised. Naruko nodded, eager to master the skill. She practiced repeatedly, each attempt improving her control until she could nearly match Kakashi's execution. Kakashi-sensei, did I do well? She asked, beaming. Excellent, Naruko. You are dismissed for today, Kakashi said. Thank you. Training for hours is tiring, so I'll get some rest now, she replied. Goodbye, Naruko, Kakashi said with a gentle nod. Naruko gathered some of her remaining chakra and propelled herself into the air, swiftly making her way toward her apartment complex. She's really improving, at least she's done for the day. That gives me time to pick up the latest Icha Icha book tonight. I can't wait. Time skip, 2 hours later. Naruko was enjoying a peaceful nap when a familiar voice echoed in her mind. Hey, are you awake? Groggily, Naruko opened her eyes to see the Kyuubi in the familiar inner world, a place within her mind where they often met. Yes, I'm awake. But I'm not pleased with being woken. What is it that you want? Don't be so curt. You forget who I am. I am the great Kyuubi, and all who know me are cautious of my presence. Naruko crossed her arms, unimpressed. I'll ask again, what do you want? The Kyuubi exhaled, seemingly amused. These youngsters today, they know so little about the world. And their so-called ninja skills seem trivial. You know I can hear your thoughts, Kyuubi, Naruko replied firmly. And my abilities aren't just wannabe powers. They're meaningful and unique to my training. The Kyuubi chuckled softly. I suppose you're right. Those who rely solely on admiration don't appeal to me either. They are not like you. Naruko swung her legs off the bed and began donning her ninja attire once more. Where are you heading? Asked the Kyuubi. That's obvious, isn't it? If you can read my thoughts, you should already know. The Kyuubi inwardly grinned. Naruko's growth was evident. She was clever, determined, and embracing her inner strength, learning to channel even the shadows within her without fear. Naruko left her apartment and made her way to her favorite training spot. I should have guessed this would be her destination. Honestly, I underestimated her, thought the Kyuubi. Leaping gracefully from rooftop to rooftop, Naruko moved with the finesse of a skilled ninja. Her footfalls were so light that no one below could detect her presence, a skill many Genin would struggle to master. Soon, she arrived at her destination with ease. Naruko, the Kyuubi said, you see that fourth figure? I am not particularly fond of it. This place makes me uneasy. I understand, Naruko replied calmly. This is my own special place. And I know why you feel that way. The fourth image is connected to your past. Yes. One day, information about that figure will be revealed to you, but not by me. The Hokage will decide the right time to share it. Naruko considered delving into her inner world to uncover more from the Kyuubi, but quickly realized it was a test of patience. All right, I'll pretend you never said that. She then leapt to the summit of Hokage Mountain, her favorite spot. From there, she could see the entirety of Konoha, the village she loved. The sight brought her a sense of peace, as if the past Hokage were silently watching over her. Naruko, the Kyuubi began hesitantly, may I ask you something? What is it? She asked. What do you envision for your future? My future is here, in Konoha, Naruko replied firmly. The Kyuubi's tone shifted. I ask because not all villagers accept you yet. Sometimes, growth requires new surroundings. A period away from the village might help you develop even further. Are you suggesting I leave after the Chunin exams? Naruko asked. Not immediately. But soon after, it may be wise to explore the world beyond Konoha for a while. And what about the Hokage? Surely my progress will be recognized, Naruko said, confidence in her voice. The Hokage's position requires approval from both the council and the villagers. Many may not yet see your full potential. Tell me about the council, Naruko urged, eager for insight. The council is made up of senior jonin of the village, mentors, elders, and your sensei, Kakashi. Out of them, you currently have only one vote in your favor. Naruko's excitement dimmed slightly, but the Kyuubi offered hope. There is another path. With dedication, patience, and strategy, you could demonstrate your worth. Perhaps in 5 or 6 years, you will be ready to achieve what you desire. Naruko pondered this, her determination growing. She longed to protect the village she loved and to show everyone the strength and character she had cultivated. Looking up at the brilliant moon above, Naruko felt a quiet sense of resolve. The night was clear, and the moonlight illuminated the village below, casting a gentle glow over her path. With renewed focus, she began her journey back to her apartment, ready for the challenges ahead. Time skipped to the next morning. Naruko rose from her bed and stretched her arms high. She got up, put on her ninja attire, made herself a quick breakfast, and then headed toward training ground number 7. Upon arriving, she saw Kakashi standing near the memorial stone honoring the village's accomplished shinobi and kunoichi. Kakashi turned, smiled warmly, and addressed her. Hello, Naruko. I'm actually a clone right now because I'm on a mission with Sakura and Sasuke. I'll be back in about 4 days. In the meantime, continue practicing your ninjutsu. Once I return, we'll focus on taijutsu, and eventually, I'll spar with you to see how much you've grown. Good luck with your training. With a swirl of smoke, the Kakashi clone disappeared, leaving Naruko at the training ground. She spent the day refining her hidden mist jutsu and mastering a new Suiten technique. Time skipped to 4 days before Kakashi's return. Kakashi was finishing a successful mission with Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke's Sharingan had improved remarkably, allowing her to hold her own in challenging situations. Sakura's chakra control had been invaluable, even if she wasn't as battle-ready. The mission concluded successfully, and Kakashi collected the rewards for a C-ranked mission. He immediately headed to training ground number 7. At the training ground, Kakashi sensed Naruko's presence. The area was thick with mist, making visibility nearly impossible. Well, at least I know she's here. I just need to locate her. She'll probably try to engage me to gauge her strength, Kakashi thought. Suddenly, a swift attack struck Kakashi from behind, knocking the clone aside. The figure laughed lightly at the clone's unsuccessful attempt. Naruko lifted the mist, revealing herself as Kakashi reappeared from a nearby tree. She had updated her outfit, keeping her black cargo pants but replacing the bright orange jacket with a black jacket adorned with orange and red flames. Looks like Naruko is taking her training seriously, Kakashi thought. Her mist technique has improved a lot. I wonder if she mastered the 6 jutsus I assigned her. I see you've changed your attire, Naruko, and I notice your hidden mist jutsu has improved. Have you mastered the other techniques as well? Kakashi asked. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, Naruko replied confidently. I've mastered most of them and am close to perfecting the rest. Your selection of jutsus really complements each other, providing a balance of mid-range and long-range techniques. Kakashi smiled at the compliment. Thank you, Naruko. I'm impressed that you noticed the synergy in the techniques. Naruko grinned, casually resting her hands behind her head. Our taijutsu lessons will begin tomorrow. Today, you can rest. I've had a long mission and need some recovery as well, Kakashi said, gently placing a hand on Naruko's shoulder. Why don't we head to Ichiraku's for a meal? You've been training hard, and I could use some ramen, Kakashi suggested. They enjoyed a warm meal together when Jonin Kurenai Yuhi appeared. She had striking red eyes and a composed presence, her Konoha headband neatly placed across her forehead. Oh, Kakashi, what brings you here? Kurenai asked. I was just returning from a mission. Naruko has been training diligently on her own, Kakashi explained. Kurenai observed Naruko's flame-adorned outfit with intrigue. She's grown strong. Her chakra is remarkable, and her skills surpass many of the other rookies. Yes, she's making impressive progress, Kakashi agreed. She's developed a serious demeanor and maintains loyalty to Konoha, though her reserved nature makes it difficult for her to form new friendships. Kurenai nodded thoughtfully. I hope your guidance helps her maintain balance. We wouldn't want her potential overshadowed by isolation. Kakashi smiled at her concern. Tomorrow, her taijutsu training begins. She's already skilled, but will push her limits. As always, your genjutsu expertise is unmatched, Kurenai. After a brief exchange, Kurenai departed, leaving Kakashi and Naruko to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Back at Naruko's apartment, Naruko said, speaking to her companion, I finally understand what you meant. It feels like few in the village truly see my efforts, except for the old man, Kakashi-sensei, and Iruka-sensei. You've grown so much, the fox replied. I've realized that if I remain the same as before, I would never reach my potential. Your guidance has made me stronger, and for that, I am grateful, Naruko reflected. Take care not to overexert yourself, the fox advised. Even strength should be balanced with caution. Naruko sighed, recognizing the wisdom in the advice, and decided to rest briefly before resuming her taijutsu training the next morning. Time skipped to 3 days later. All right, Naruko, Kakashi said, that's enough for today. Your taijutsu has improved significantly, and you've earned a break. Thank you, Kakashi-sensei, Naruko replied. I'm looking forward to our spar tomorrow. I hope to demonstrate how much I've grown. Kakashi vanished in a swirl of smoke as Naruko returned to her apartment. Unbeknownst to her, someone was observing the training from the trees, a silent witness to her dedication and progress. She has become very skilled, the observer thought, impressed by Naruko's determination. Dear YouTube family, this is all for now. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps the adventure going. Thank you for being part of this community. Stay curious, stay awesome. 6 Path Weeb.